Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going to be watching a highlight from one of our very first Meshy 3D print community events. Now, this is a live showcase where members of the Discord came together to share their 3D printing projects, workflows, and some of their favorite assets they've been building with Meshy. From custom lamps, character figures, to very real-world practical prints, this event had it all. Again, this is just a small highlight from the event. This was about 2 hours long. I think you're going to find something genuinely useful, whether you're just getting started with 3D printing or you've been doing it for years. Now, this is the first video. We're probably going to be releasing another one, maybe one or two more videos from the event. So, let's dive right in.
This is the final dragon lamp. There we go.
How do you join your pieces? Just with glue, or do you weld?
I use the pins option in your slicer.
Yeah.
For most of the time. So if let me also go and open my laptop, are probably going to crash. So if it does, I will apologize. But yeah, I did loads of iterations of this. But in this one, I was trying to figure out, I knew that the lamp piece would need to be separate. Originally, it was the idea I was going to drop it in, but in the end, I printed it as one. I did try to get Meshy to route the cabling for me in a version.
How did you do that?
A lot of prompting.
We see that prompt?
Yeah, that was so. Yeah. One of the ways I work is I use Helper a lot. I don't know if you use Model Helper.
No. Oh wow.
Yeah,
that makes my
Model
prompt look
Helper.
like nothing.
Yeah, go in here. You start a prompt, expand this. Let's go a cute dragon. Sometimes it'll crash out. It probably will. Yeah, go. So then you'll generate it. And you'll go that.
I was going to suggest too. You might want to look at, if at all possible, to jump over to Linux, because it will put a lot less.
I'm lazy these days. I like to plug things in and they just work.
Yeah, that's fair.
This is what work for life.
100% on that. 100% on that.
Yeah. I've turned into I was in IT in my early days and I got really into it. And then I just went, a friend of mine just said, I just want stuff to work. He used to go in the computer shop, and if you bought, this shows you how old it is, you bought a printer, a PC and a monitor. The moment he took it home and plugged it in, he took it back.
That's why I've stayed console gaming for most of this time.
Yeah. That's why I switched from PC to console gaming. I got fed up with loading a game and goes, you need a new graphics card, you need a driver. I went, no.
Loading shaders.
Yeah, and all that stuff. So I was just going to, so this just popped up over here.
Where does where do you get most of your STLs from? Do you generally go through the slicer that you're using, or are you just like after a common STL, like a household sort of item?
I make some of them, and then some of them I download. Most of them I get from Maker World.
Yeah.
But I have designed some of my own. A friend of mine needed a part for a sewing machine. She had the broken part, so I just measured it with a set of calipers and made it.
Yeah. See, that's where my experience lies, but I haven't touched a CAD program, because I know as soon as I do, then I'll just be designing.
Yes. So I'm just trying to find where I put the. Oh, it's because I've moved them to a new folder. Here we go. Dragon lamp, modified dragon lamp slice. There we go. So originally, because when I first started printing, I didn't trust long prints. You put it in, you print in something from Maker Lab. It says, oh, an hour, 90 minutes. Oh, yeah, that's fine. And then put it in and go, this is going to print for 17 hours. And you go, what if it fails? So I immediately went this approach and started looking at, I did a lot of, this is the prototype one. So I said, where can I slice it? Let's cut it at the waist. And it automatically puts the pins in. So when I'm using the slicer, let's go to a new bit. So for those that don't know, if I just go to a new page, go in here, just do a solid cylinder, that's fine. So if I then go and slice it for whatever reason into two parts, you can go up here to go add connectors.
Yeah.
So I tend to use dowel and a square, and then just go confirm connectors. Oh, one in, bosh and bosh. Confirm connectors, perform cut, and it not only cuts the holes on opposite sides so they join together properly, but it also prints the pins for you. And that means pretty much you can go glueless.
Interesting.
It does. I mean, if you're doing it in a linear object, I'd have gone into Fusion and done that. So I tend to use Fusion a lot. But when you've got an object, and this isn't the assembled one, but let's go and find the one that was assembled. Don't change that. Slice test, that's the one.
So that's where I've been a little bit reluctant to touch a CAD program, because I used to work for some pretty prestigious companies in Newcastle, Australia here. And I've done some very prestigious works in terms of things that are in museums and to be around for the rest of my life. The programs that I used, I could not afford if I dreamed of it.
Oh, no.
So I've just stuck with the slicer, and I've been really surprised with what the slicer can do.
Oh, yeah. I use the slicer almost exclusively.
Yeah.
The chopping model up.
Yeah.
Neither one of you use Blender or any other programs, just your slicer.
I've been tempted.
Yeah. It's tempting, but if you get into it and you know what you're doing in there, then literally the sky is the the sky is the ceiling. Your imagination is the ceiling.
And they're forever improving the slicer.
Yeah.
I am literally slicing it, and I might be modeling some very simple things.
Or take two simple parts even and bring them into the slicer.
And then the one that I've done, unfortunately, it's not a Meshy project, but it's the one I'm most proud of, is a friend of mine is a music teacher, and one of her pupils plays the flute. Now, this is a plastic flute, but that pupil is missing the pointer finger. So they needed a way to be able to hold their flute, but play it with the thumb. So they're missing that finger, so they play everything overhand, and then they have to grip the flute with the palm of their hand. So the first thing I did was make the sleeve to go over the flute from this end, so it's slotted on and locked on, so you didn't actually have to modify the flute itself.
I love that.
Put that then into let's catch up. That'll take a while to shut down. Brought that then into the slicer, and then what I told them to do is take the flute, put a piece of plasticine in their hand, mold it, and then I scanned this with a Creality scanner.
Oh, he's got hold of it.
And then brought it in, literally just molded it merged it with the flute shell, did a bit of cutting, and then printed that out, and they're now using it. So somebody who shouldn't be able to play the flutes, they're missing a finger, now can grip their flute.
That is so cool, man. Big props for that.
Yeah, it's the proudest piece of work I've done.
Yeah.
Get it all for free because, of course, you got it. It was a fun project. He said, give this a go. I went, absolutely. And it was an excuse to buy a scanner. So it's one of these.
Oh, wow. I've seen those. It's a very good, interesting.